This week I'm going to be talking about the great experience I had shooting my first wedding video. Hello, my name is Cade and this is DSLRguide. So, last Saturday I had the really cool opportunity of shadowing a wedding photographer at a wedding in Southend. I got a lift down with him, and the idea was that I would follow him around, seeing what shots he got, seeing who he talked to, kind of getting an idea of what weddings are like from the point of view of a photographer, which would then help me a lot as a filmmaker. So I was basically talking to him and finding out exactly how it was going to go, and then I also was shooting video the whole time as if I was the wedding video guy, even though I was just volunteering. There was no expectation on me to produce a product. It was just a good learning experience for me and a free video for the couple. So yeah, I had a really good experience, and I basically just want to talk about the things I learned from the photographer, but also from just me being there. I learned quite a lot about wedding videos. So the main idea with weddings, in terms of filming, is that you basically have to take what you can get. It's quite fast. Everything happens without you being able to say, oh, can we try that again? It just all happens, and you just have to be ready and prepared so that when something important happens, you're there with it in focus, a stable shot, ready to capture everything that you're interested in, or that the bride and groom are interested in. You don't have a chance to set up lights. You don't have a huge amount of preparation time. It's pretty much turning up and pointing your camera at whatever happens to be happening. So that's what's difficult, but also it makes it simple. Now, weddings generally are quite similar. The format of each one is quite similar. So in that sense, you kind of know what to expect. But there are certain things which you do not want to miss, and that's what it's all about. It's kind of high pressure, but you do know what to expect, and you don't have so much creative control as with a project like an advertisement for a company. You don't have quite the same level of control. You just have to be thinking about where you're positioned, thinking about lighting and stuff, but you can't really do much to change anything. So a lot of it depends on the venue, but you basically have to just make the best out of what you've got, and that's basically what it is mostly. We started out with filming the bride as she finished getting ready, getting some nice shots of her looking in the mirror and doing her hair, which are kind of nice to have at the start of the video. And then there was a little gap where we were filming just kind of all the guests arriving, and then we had the service. Now the service was a half an hour service, and we had previously been able to scope out the place and decided where we were going to be, and we were right at the front. That's one thing I wasn't sure about, is how out there can you be, but it's really important to just be super confident and just know that you're supposed to be there. You don't want to be getting out of people's way and saying, oh, sorry when you're missing a shot. It's very important that you put yourself out there so you can get the shot, and that's something which takes a bit of getting used to, finding a way of being polite but assertive, and that's a really good skill to have on a wedding shoot. So throughout the day, the kind of shots I was looking for is focusing on the people. While it's great to get some shots of the venue, some shots of flowers and nice table arrangements, it's good to get those shots. You don't want to be focusing on those completely. Make sure you get plenty of the family. Look out for who you may think be the parents, or you could even ask people who are the most significant people who they'd definitely want to be in the video. But generally, if you kind of can cover filming as much people just as they're chatting with a drink or just showing that they're having a good time, it's really good to be able to capture people. You don't want the video to just be saying, here's the cake, here's some flowers, here's the nice venue. Those shots are good, but you want to make sure you really do get the people, because that's what, at the end of the day, that's what most people are going to be interested in. So as I was talking to the photographer, he was telling me how the stage leading up to the wedding is actually really, really important. when the bride and groom first approach you about making a video, it's really important that you go and see the venue early on. You know, this photographer said that he'll if they ask him for a quote or something, he'll say, well, I'll meet you at the venue and we'll talk it over. That way, straight away, before he commits to anything, he can look around the venue and see whether it's a good spot. Because if it's a really, you know, dingy looking dark place which isn't going to make a good video or photos, then that can have a big effect on whether you want to choose them as clients. Because if the lighting is really poor in there, or there's nowhere for you to stand, it's actually going to make a big difference to the video. And it's up to you, but I think it's worth only accepting jobs that have nice venues, because there's not a lot you can do to fix the lighting or to fix you're very limited to what you can do at a wedding. You have to kind of just use what's there at the location, and if the venue isn't good enough, then I would say don't choose the job. You also want to talk over, you know, what kind of shots do they want. You know, plenty of people will just say, well, we just want shots of the people and kind of a standard video, but there'll be some people who want specific things, and it's really good to talk these over and make sure you're both on the same page. Another thing is that it's really, really important to have a contract. Even if it's a friend, even if you're not getting paid very much, it's very important that you have a contract. If they decide to sue you for whatever reason, it's really good to have a contract which says, you know, which it'll basically cover you in all aspects. Do a quick Google search for a photographer wedding contract, and you'll probably be able to adapt that slightly to video. That's a good way of doing it. A couple of things specific to video that the bride and groom may be interested in is you can organise little extra things. Like I've seen a couple where they have interviews at the start of the day where they kind of say, you know, how are you feeling? They ask the bride and they ask the groom, and these add some character and personality to the day, but it's the sort of thing you need to plan it beforehand. You know, if they don't know about it and you try and grab, oh, can I just grab a quick question, they'll be pretty busy on the day. So if there's things like that they're interested in, then it's definitely worth talking about that earlier on. You know, anything you want to plan for the video could add a nice touch, but you need to have it planned. And the other thing to think about is audio. In most wedding videos, you'll want to film the full ceremony, you know, the vows and stuff, and that's the sort of thing you do want to get a good audio for. Now, again, this week, last Saturday, I just had my VideoMic mounted on the camera, because we were kind of close anyway, and we didn't have a way of, you know, setting up a boom pole or anything. So the mic was mounted on the camera and then going into my Zoom H1. Now that's an okay way of doing it, but you do get plenty of background noise. So ideally you'd have lapel mics or lavalier mics, just which should probably catch most of the audio for the bride and the groom. But that's something to think about. Audio is important. You can't just mute the whole thing really, because there are going to be, you know, speaking that you do want to hear, and it's important that you get good audio as well as video. So again, that comes down to planning, saying to them, you know, oh, in order to get the good quality audio, we'll need you to wear a microphone and have a thing in your pocket, and just letting people know. That's what it's all about, just preparing them for what you need in order to make the best video possible. So I also got the chance to talk with the photographer about how he gets the wedding jobs, and he said that he gets the majority of them from going to wedding fairs, where the bride and groom will go round and there'll be a bunch of stalls, one for the wedding cake and one for decorations and all these different services that they'll be interested in for their wedding, including the photographer. That a good way of getting jobs is to set up a stall there, you give them a bit of money, and then you'll be able to, you know, have a table with some flyers and your demo reel playing, and then that way all the people walking around will be potential customers, you know. And he said that that's where he gets the majority of his jobs. If you can come at a good price, then, you know, maybe there will be some people interested. And I'll give you guys an update on how I do with trying to find wedding jobs, but it seems like it's definitely possible. But yeah, so once you've finished shooting the wedding, it's always good to remind the bride and groom about the deadlines. I think 4 weeks for editing would be a nice deadline, because then it gives you time to be doing other stuff. If something comes up, you've still got time to finish it. If you were to kind of choose the smallest amount of time, it's better to be early than be late, basically. So 4 weeks is probably good, depending on how big the project is, depending on how much work you've got doing. But I think that's a good way of doing it. And then when you give them the final product, it's good. What I'm going to do is a memory stick, but you can get some nice fancy wooden ones and in a nice box. I think you can even get some like engraved writing on it, and you can make it look really fancy, and that will just add a nice touch to it, which will possibly make them more likely to watch it if it's if they can put it on their on a countertop or something and it looks nice, rather than just a generic little SD card that they could quite easily lose, or just it's just nice. A little touch like that could go a long way, and they're not too expensive. But then also it's good to have a DVD format, and anything else you've talked to the bride and groom about. You can charge them extra for 10 Blu-rays for them to hand out to their family if that's what they're if that's what they want. Then you can quite easily provide that service. But yeah, so that's my kind of experience of weddings. So yeah, my plan personally is to go to some wedding fairs and secure some jobs for next summer, because people plan these quite far in advance, and then hopefully that'll be a good way of earning some money and getting more experience. So yeah, last weekend was a really good experience. I learned tons about just how wedding shoots work, but also talking to the photographer was great. And I recommend, if any of you guys know any photographers, or even just it's worth googling local photographer and seeing if they'll let you come along on one of their shoots. So yeah, that's it for this week, and I'll see you next time.